Security. Before they talk about cutting the funding for Social Security, has anybody looked into if all these payments have been made back to Social Security from all the borrowing?
Well, happy birthday. Social Security has really not been a part of the health care debate. They've tried to stay as far away from that as possible. And there are many people who are concerned that a lot of money has been spent from the Social Security Trust Fund and that there are long-term structural problems. Social Security is a major entitlement, and when you project the national debt going forward, a big part of the whole is from Social Security payments that will go out.
Central City, Kentucky. Sam, Republican line. Please go ahead with your question.
Good morning, you all. I hope you can help me with this because there's a lot of back and forth on this, regardless if it does not. Let me give you an example. If I myself buy an insurance policy that covers sort of a, let's say, certain type of cancer, say brain cancer, then I can say that I am buying coverage for this particular cancer. Now, what I want to know is this Senate bill, as it stands right now, you know, they're talking about the abortion thing. It does, does federal money for abortion or not? If money is subsidized to buy a policy that covers abortion, does that mean that the government is, or the way it stands now, that the government is paying for abortions? Because that's the way I understand it is. I would like to know if it is or is not.
Well, Sam, that's a point of debate. Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi insists that there is no federal funding for abortion in the bill, but there's this group of 12 moderate Democrats who are pro-life and led by Bart Stupak, a Democrat from Michigan, that insists that it is, that insurance companies, when there's federal subsidies for insurance and those insurance plans cover elective abortions, then that essentially is tantamount to federal funding for abortion. So there is a back and forth, but whether or not it is or isn't, those Democrats aren't going to go along as long as the current language stands.
One of our frequent tweeters has sent this in to you. Wait, if this guy's smart enough to have graduated from Stanford, why did he go into journalism?
I don't know. Oh, we'll see. I love being here on the Hill, and it's such an important time in our nation's history as these issues of consequence are being talked about, and to really have a front seat to watch these very serious and important exchanges over the country's future.
What have you learned about the Hill in these months that you've been working on Politico?
The process. I've learned a lot about the way that the Capitol works, and I think just like when President Obama got to Washington and realized that it's harder to move legislation forward than he thought, I've sort of seen the same thing. It's easy to look watching at home, as I often did growing up, C-SPAN, and think, why can't they just pass this legislation? But the institutions are such that there are a lot of burdens and obstacles that exist, and the Founding Fathers put them there. And when you're actually working in the Capitol, you can see every day the House and the Senate in action or inaction and understand why.
Kenneth, Radash, Virginia, Independent Line. You're on with James Hohmann of the Politico.
Good morning. Gentlemen, I'd like to just ask a question about how the progress works. It showed Bob Byrd this morning talking about the reconciliation or the nuclear option. Back in '64, Senator Byrd was the one that passed this through Senate for the supermajority. But the way I read the Constitution, it's supposed to be just a straight up and down. You know, if 100 people, if it's divided in half, then the vice president, who's the president of the Senate, would come in and make the decision by his 51 vote. So how did they bypass the Constitution to get to have a supermajority? How did Bob Byrd and the Senate do that?
Well, the Constitution doesn't specify that you need a majority in the Senate. I think that the Constitution gives a lot of leeway to the Senate to create its own rules. The idea actually that the Founding Fathers had was that there should be more constraints in the upper house, and that was going to be the chamber of reason that stopped the more hot-headed House, which was going to be directly democratically elected.